What up, Scoopy?
We out here, cozy.
What up, Scoopy?
We out here, cozy.
What up, Scoopy?
We out here, cozy. What's up, everyone?
What up, what up? We're back again for a really hot episode of POPradio. I'm quite keen for the conversation we're going to have today. Somebody very special who's going to be joining us on the episode. We're going to be chatting just about management, chatting about artists, chatting about his journey, chatting about a lot of things. You know what I mean? And this is a very special person who's done a lot in the game.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for letting you left a little bit for me to fill in.
I gotta throw it back at you.
So he's worked with the likes of Casper, he's worked with the likes of Nadia Nakai, he's working with Boity right now, he's been a videographer, he's been a photographer. He's an all-around music lover who just soaks in knowledge from every platform and everybody if you do have something to say and have the credentials in your career to prove it. We're talking about Bash, aka Bash Vision, son.
Do you have the vision?
Do you?
Do you? That's the question we have for today. But before we jump into the big conversation with our guest for today, we obviously just gotta, give you a little bit of a vibe on what we've been listening to and what's been catching our attention. Scoop, what have you been listening to? What's got your ear right now?
Right now, I gotta tell you that I heard the remix to 018. I will not let you know who's on the. If you don't know 018, then get onto Boity's album, find out the track. Hear the original version because the remix is going to be. I think it's one of the few times that the remix. No, I'm lying. It's one of the recent times where a remix is about to overtake the original.
Say what?
I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Okay. Well, it might just be game over on the original for the remix to kind of come through. You know what I mean?
Ma'am.
All right. So with the music that I've been listening to is actually an artist that DZ sent to me. So shout out to DZ.
Yeah, shout out to DZ.
DZ also kind of like does this videographer thing, and then he's an artist manager, and then he's also a radio plugger, and then Ngapa he's also an influencer. Have you seen his posts on Twitter and Instagram?
I haven't. What, his rants or posts?
No, just everything.
Just a post.
You must just follow DZ. Like there's a lot happening there
at
by DZ.
DZ Waffles, even on Twitter at DZ Waffles or just DZ.
So DZ. He's a Power Ranger on Twitter. You must check him out. Every day is a new story.
But I gotta give him some props though, because he did hit me up on, and Dizzy doesn't hit you up a lot of times, but when he does hit you up, you do want to read the message. Most of the time he's just telling you, don't forget to tag me on the photos.
Because you don't tag.
I don't.
Yeah.
Because most of the time the photos are my idea.
You gotta do better, Scoop.
No. You're not hearing me. Most of the times the photos are my idea. If Dizzy comes to me and says, Scoop, if I put you here and I take a picture of you like this, then I'll credit you. But if it's my idea and you just shot the thingy, I forget it.
It's his editing.
We don't need editing, just has to send the pictures. But anyway,
let's get into the song.
I wanted to say that Dizzy put me on to an interview in Botswana. Yaruna FM, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
So there's dudes in Botswana that do like a youth radio station, blah, 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 blah. They hooked me up with that interview and Dizzy was the plug for that. Now, it's dope talking to South African people, but it's always nice being able to converse with people from the other side of the continent. So I want to say thank you, Dizzy. I might not tag you on the post, but I'm tagging you right here for your management skills.
All right, so with the management skills, he also sent me a new artist by the name of Trap Makinza.
Ish, what a name.
Yeah, and he's a real Makinza. You must see that with that album cover, okay? You'll be scared real fast if you don't have a young something that you're packing. But the music is dope. He's really trapping it out, but he's also got like a really authentic South African trap sound. There's a track that I played on the radio called Makhathini. Very fresh, very 2021, like really, really, really dope. So go and check it out. The EP is also out. It's also called Makhathini, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, man, just the whole body of work was really awesome. And thank you, DZ, for the put on, because like he kept bothering me. Like he was just, have you listened? Have you listened? And always when people say that, I'm always like, nah.
Maybe you should be a manager, DZ.
I mean,
so DZ management.
Power Ranger. You're gonna be signed to the Power Rangers. It's so DZ.
Sure.
All right. So we are gonna jump into our interview, though. We are going to bring in our guest. We do have a Bash who's going to be joining us just for a little bit of a chat, talking to us about his career and everything that he's kind of experienced. And you might just learn a little something. So get that notepad out. Wow, and we're in.
Are you recording? Are you getting this thing?
Oh,
Let's do it.
man. Yes, so we are in with our guest for today on Pop Radio. We did mention who Bash is. Bash Vision is with us today. Bash, how you doing? How you living? Are you live?
I'm good.
Bash always has this cool energy. Like, no matter how busy you are, no matter how hectic everything's around you, you always got this calm head, bruh.
Don't say that.
Am I lying?
Have you met Shishiliza?
I'm lying.
You haven't met Shishiliza?
No.
Oh.
That's the other side of Bash.
Yeah,
That's Sasha Fierce, Yaga Bash.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's my
Shishiliza
alias.
only comes out in the talk. He
Yeah.
only comes out in the clubs. He only
Yeah.
comes out after a couple of Jaegers.
Go touch Shishiliza.
Shishiliza.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
But what up, Bash? Thank you so much for joining us today on Pop Radio.
No problem.
And of course, you are a viewer of the show, but also outside of being a viewer, you're also an industry heavyweight. And I think we've spoken about you a couple of times on POPcast as well. And I think for those people who don't necessarily know who we're always talking about, it's nice for them to finally put a face to a name, because we're always saying, hey, Bash did this, Bash did that, Bash 1, 2, 3. You got to bash, because sometimes, you just want to, hey, I'm joking. But he's out here. He's an industry head. He's always working within the spaces. He's done influencer work. He's also done a lot of producing. He's been a cameraman once in his life. He's been
forgot about those
he's
days.
been a DJ, a producer. He's a songwriter. He's also a reality TV star.
Bash, for you, what would you call yourself?
I'm an entertainer.
You're an
Yes,
entertainer.
so man, hey, look at you.
Diddy is my idol. So
For sure.
that just tells you everything.
But the personalities? We haven't seen the Diddy personality come out on
I
you yet.
mean, yeah,
Or Shishiliza
not on
maybe.
TV or anything like
No,
that, but like in the
Shishiliza.
clubs, like everyone
comes
knows
out, nah?
the Shishiliza
you-
level.
You know when Diddy's excited in the snaps, and you're just like, yo, Diddy's just got this energy.
Yeah.
No, Shishiliza comes
That's
through with that
Shishiliza.
energy.
Yeah.
And where do you stem from? Let's get some history about you, because we always just saw you in Johannesburg, and most of us don't know the background.
Yeah, so I'm from Zimbabwe. I was born in Zimbabwe.
They're your second Zim act.
Yeah.
Indigo Stella's also from Zim. You
She's
guys
from Zambia.
Zambia, my bad.
Yes.
Zambia. I grew up in Botswana. I moved here when I was like 14, 15. And then, I started off as a rapper. And then I went to DJ.
Sure.
Oh, Bash has done it all.
And then from DJing for artists, it was like I'm always telling people like, yo, dress like this, say this, do that. They're like, I don't, just be that
Just
manager.
relax, man. Man.
They told me to be the manager. They're like, I might as well, you know. And then from there, I went back to DJing. And then from there, it's like coming into the game as a manager, everyone's going to ask you, like, who have you managed? It's
For
like,
sure.
Nobody, my
Sure.
homeboys, you know. So I had to like gain experience, you know, became a photographer, videographer, you know, studied, you know, people. And then, went back to
How
managing.
easy were all these like avenues to maneuver? Because I mean, it's tough being known as a DJ to go to a manager, to go to a videographer. Just those little things alone. Like, how and why was it so easy for you to just move? Did you know good people? Did you know the right people?
It was never easy. Like, I mean, also moving here, like I didn't know anyone in South Africa, you know what I mean? So it was difficult. Like I had to just make my way, and I'm a hustler, you know, I always find a way. And like if I decide, okay, this is what I want to do, then I'm doing it and it's gonna work.
Yeah.
You know? Like this, I have no other option.
Sure.
You know.
And that's always been something that Bash has always kind of been known to do. Like he's resilient in wanting to always kind of like change and say, okay, this is not working for me anymore. Let me step into this space. Let me try and do this. Let me do that. Because I remember you actually tweeted once and you were like, dude, photography has never been your passion. You just did it so you could get into the game.
Like at the time, it was like no one had visuals.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, I need to make people want to work with me. So I'm giving you something no one has. Here's visuals.
Yeah.
You know
Why
what I
did
mean?
you move around so much from bots to this place and that place?
You also did some time some time as if he's a prisoner. Sorry. No, okay, he's not a prisoner.
I see, he did a stint
He did
somewhere.
a stint in the UK as well. So like you like, because Bash has stories about everyone. He'll always be like, no, when I was living in London. Oh no, when I was in Botswana. It's like, dude, okay, but like you're not that old.
Sure.
You know. So
Yeah.
what were you doing in all these different places?
I mean, well, my whole family's from Zim, but I moved when I was like 2 months old. So I don't know. I guess my dad got a job in Botswana, and like that became home. And then like things that kind of quietened down. Like it's a small town, you know. There's very limited stuff to do. You know, like old people don't want to move on, so young people don't have jobs. So I think it was like my parents really saw we need to move. You know, Joburg, there's opportunities, and also like I was already like into the wrong stuff. Like I was in the street stuff, and like, you know, my parents were just like, yo, we need to move, you know. When I look back, it's like a lot of people that I was in school with are like just chilling at home doing nothing, or they messed up on drugs, you know. So it was the best decision for my parents, you know, just to move around like that.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah. And what were you doing in the UK though?
I've never lived in the UK, but like I'm always there. Well, not always, but like I go back and forth a lot, you know. Like I have family there, but my best friend used to live there, so any chance I got, I would go there, and like I would go to like the grime shows and all of that stuff, like from like 2007. Yeah.
The one thing I think, like I mentioned, Bash has kind of found himself in positions where he has done a little bit of everything. And getting into the game within the photography space, you got yourself working with one of the biggest artists in South Africa, working with Casper. And I think you caught him at the right time when he was also just kind of like taking his career to the next level, trying to push himself to being the superstar that he is now. How was that experience for you, kind of working for somebody like Casper? And like you said, you didn't know anybody in the industry. So how did you actually get him to trust you?
I knew Casper like long before I started working with him. So like, you know, Monash, like there's a lot of like foreign students there. So like guys that I knew from Botswana was studying there.
Boity went to Monash.
Yeah, and Casper was always there.
Wow.
To visit Boity.
I didn't know that at the time, but So like, you know, there was a complex that like my boys stayed in, and we used to record there. And you know, Casper also, when Casper always tells the story, like I slept on this guy's couch, it was in that complex. So like we used to always go to the same complex. And record at the studio, and that's how I met him. You know, he did songs with like the artist that I was working with at the time. We used to party together, we used to move together. I was the only one with the job. The only one with the car.
So
like,
what were you doing at the time?
I was in IT. I was an IT technician.
You see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I mean.
Did everything. I thought it was from Mufftown because of that, but not. Continue.
Yeah, so even like the Mufftown thing was because like I was friends with Ganja Beats, I was friends with Casper, and Mufftown is like, it was like a little taste of home. It was almost like Gabs. It's very similar, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's why I was always there. And then like at the time, Casper and I actually weren't talking, and I had just quit my job. I quit my job to do music. And my dad was hacked. He was like, he almost fought me. Like he was trying to fight me. Now it's like I got my little, you know, pension fund, like a young, like 30, 40K. I'm in Rosebank shopping.
And you want to blow it.
Yes. While I'm shopping, I meet Kapo at Steers, and Kapo's like, yo, dog, like Casper actually really wants you to do this video thing, and I know you guys aren't talking. Are you down? At the time, I'm like, yo, this is perfect because I've got no plan. The artist that I wanted to work with moved back to Botswana. I quit my job for this guy. So Kapo was actually the guy who was like, yo, you know, are you down? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yo, Casper's in Liquid Chefs right now. Like, so I'm like, let's go. Went there, we spoke.
Can I ask why you weren't speaking at that point? Because that was early on.
No, it was just like the artist that I was working with at the time had an issue with him. And
so it was like crew beef vibes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you guys cool now?
No.
Where are you going with the question?
Nah, we're not cool.
It was a question.
Okay.
We're not cool. We don't talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the club on Saturday. He was there. Like, his section is here. My section is here. We don't talk.
And is there a reason for that? Do you know the reason?
I mean, it's ever since I left, it's always like been uneasy, you know. But like this time is like over something so silly. Like it was like, I remember those battles Gemini and them were doing.
Yeah, the verses.
And then I think someone played Casper's record, that I'm a Demoni record, and Rich Mahog was like, yo, we only playing original music here, not covers, because it sounded like a Pop Smoke record.
Yes.
So I went on Twitter, I'm like, yo, Rich Mahog is rude, and laughed, and Casper's like, and you're weird. And then that's that.
Okay.
That's where it became. You know what I mean?
We'll end it there.
So it's like over something small, but either way, like you don't have to be friends with everyone in the game.
No doubt.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that you guys need to kind of sit back and reminisce on like the good old days.
Yeah.
You worked and spent a lot of time within the camp. You were there from the founding stages of what Family Tree was.
Yeah.
For you to take on somebody as big as Nadia. We had Nadia in for a pop radio episode as well, and obviously just kind of seeing how her brand has grown. You were very instrumental to making Nadia who she is today. And I think a lot of people who might not know it because maybe they're not in the industry don't realize how much effort and work goes in behind the scenes to get an artist to the next level. And obviously you leaving Casper from being his photographer to moving on to being a manager like you wanted to be. What was it about Nadia that you felt you could take to the next step? Because when you started working with her, she was still kind of bubbling under. People just kind of knew about her, but didn't really pay attention until, you started managing her.
So Nadia was actually like one of the first artists that I managed. Like when I was 21, I first managed Nadia. It lasted for like a year. She was signed to like Ganja Beats. Ganja Beats had a label. And then, 6 years later, we were at the airport and Zim and Casper like actually mentioned it. He's like, actually, Nadia could actually work, like a Family Tree. And then when we got back, I hit him up and I'm like, yo, are you serious? He's like, yeah. I'm like, should I holler at her? Like, yeah. I spoke to her. She was down. And I just became a manager. And like, we just worked on the brand together, worked on the music together, the sound, the image. Yeah. I remember at the time Nadia didn't even want to swear. She didn't want to swear.
No, she didn't.
She didn't want
to,
so like it was obviously a combined effort, but we worked hard on it and came out.
What do you think? We can all have examples of what makes a good artist, even if we didn't know.
Yeah.
But once we see something work, then we are informed of what makes a good artist.
Yeah.
However, I feel like the artists now are getting so big that we do need managers.
Yeah.
Like in a very heavy way, we do need managers for the next stratosphere that the artists are reaching. They've taken it that far. And I've always been interested because I know that in the game, I found that people like this title of manager, but they don't really know what it entails. And out of everybody, most people in the game that have carried that title, your track record is the most exquisite. So I want to find out from you, what do you think entails a good manager? Like, what could you say out there, even not to your peers, because I feel like some way they are a lost cause, because the new kids though coming up, they need to know like how the fuck does Bash do that? What makes Bash so different about this shit? So that they can be that for their peers, like you have been to yours.
Yeah, I think like for me, like that time that I spent on the road as a videographer, photographer, DJ, road manager when I needed to, I learned how to do road management from Spike. I watched him very closely. I learned the patience from T. Lee.
This is Casper's team, by the way.
Sometimes like you're gonna get into situations and like you just need to take a step back, take a moment, breathe, and then respond. Don't just react. So I think those are the key things as a manager. Is like just the hard work of like a Spike, and getting the job done no matter how tired you are. And like as a manager, you need to be patient. Like, because you're going to deal with a lot of artists. Artists have ego. Artists have pride. When you're saying, the song is not the one, their response will not be favorable to you.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But it's not about you as a manager. You're just trying to get the best product, So I think it's just those things and just always willing to learn and, just, I guess, always take a step back and see that it's bigger than you.
Is it easy for you to tell artists this is not the one? How do you break that down? Do you call them like privately? Obviously, don't do it in front of everybody in studio. Like, how do you do that with your situations?
I mean, previously, it was like, I used to tell people immediately, this is not the one. And then I started seeing that it's breaking this person down.
Yes.
So, rather... But yeah, so it's like sometimes like let the person do it, and then say, okay, cool. let's go back, let's do it like this and like this and like this and like this.
Yeah.
When they try it, they're like, damn, that makes so much sense, you know. So don't break someone down from the beginning, you know, give them a chance, you know, to get it right. But I don't have those problems anymore.
No doubt.
I do think also from a management perspective, which is something that we've also kind of spoken up on POPcast as well, is sometimes you always have like these artists or these kids who are just like, no, this is my manager, and it's like the best friend from high school or whatever who has zero experience. And 9 times out of 10, most managers don't really have the experience until they just take their shot. But what are key lessons, like you're mentioning, like you've got the patience and the hard work element from Telia and Spike. But I mean, sometimes as a best friend, you don't necessarily know what's best for an artist.
Yeah.
So for you, what do you think are those differentiating factors? Because sometimes you also have to just believe in your artist, and some people just want to be there along for the ride. Are you also stepping yourself back and saying, I'm not here for the fame, I'm here for the work? Because I think that's where the blurred lines kind of comes in. Yeah.
For me, I just really study. Like I watch a lot of interviews, you know, and I watch a lot of like on like, okay, now like Drinks Jams and you know, the Joe
Student
Budden
of the game.
podcast and
Yeah.
like, and I think like the more you watch the execs and, you know, the artist managers and the road manager and hear their stories, you know, you're gonna run into those same situations and be like, damn, this guy did this is what I'm gonna. So it's just about, you know,
100%.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite person to sponge off of right now, whether it's an artist or an exec or an artist turned exec? I can think of like 3, but I want to hear from you. Like, who are the people that you like jot down lessons from right now, especially because we have so many of these platforms that you can have them speaking?
My favorite is Boo.
Sure.
Akon's brother.
Who manages Ye and a lot of other artists, right? Chris Brown.
That's actually where I got Bash Vision from, Boo Vision.
Boo Vision.
Yeah.
Nice one. Very quiet.
So for those people who always think, your Bash Vision camera, no, it's got nothing to do with cameras.
Just being a visionary, like the way he has the tattoo on his neck right now.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy because he doesn't do much interviews.
He doesn't. It's
all action.
It really annoys me because like I have to hunt for those interviews,
Yes.
you know. But I always hear stories about him, you know. Stephen Victor, Pusha T's manager.
Yes.
He was also with Pop Smoke.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's crazy.
Man? Leo Cohen. That's
Leo
like
Cohen,
the
of course.
ultimate. Like Leo Cohen, Kevin Lyles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Showcase.
One thing about you also, Bash, is that you've expressed this a couple of times, and I think maybe it might also be something that you're passionate about, is you always find yourself, I guess, in this instance, working so easier with females than you do with the males in the industry.
Yeah.
And that's with saying that you have the experience of working with both the guys as well as the girls. And you have this thing of taking the girls to like a newer level than where they were. And I want to understand from you what makes it so special for you to rather say the girls are where I'm going to concentrate. Why do you focus so much on the females?
I don't know what brought me there, but like when I got there, I was like, I'm very passionate about this. And also like there's a lot of talented female artists in this country that are overlooked for no reason, you know. And I just see, I think it's also an untapped market. It's weird, like, because I say that, I'm like, this is easy for me. It's an easy lane for me. I know what to do. But I've heard other managers saying this is the most difficult thing, managing a woman. So I think for me, it's an ego thing. Like, I don't receive any ego from the women that I work with, you know, whereas with men, sometimes the pride and like the arguments and, you know what I mean? So I don't know, for me, it's just easier. I just have a better relationship with them. You know, we just always become brother and sister.
Do you think that maybe you're a light-skinned, good-looking dude with tattoos might have something to do with it? And a connecting beard? Do you think maybe that kind of helps you out a little bit? Because maybe the guys look at you like, my girl actually wants you. You must just stop it now.
Hey, man. Yo.
Wait.
Whoa!
Has this actually happened?
Is that light-skinnedness?
That artist girls kind of look at you funny?
Not artist girls, but like
Girls.
on the road, like
Nah?
I used to be a bit of a problem.
Like a bit of a hit. Like
Yeah.
you, because also you worked out. You know what I mean? So are the girls looking at you like? So does the artist feel like?
I don't work out. I'm just fat. Like
Back in the day, you were on them dumbbells. I know you had a set of dumbbells at the crib. I know that. So maybe the artist felt like, why are you looking at this guy instead of me?
yeah.
And you never were that. You know, I always used to be surprised by you because I always felt like this guy has so much weight and so much sway around him, but it always looked like you were running away from it.
I mean, it's because I don't do it for credit. You know what I mean? Like, when I get home, I'm going to watch a podcast about music. I'm going to watch interviews. I'm going to hear it. I'm going to go through my email and find beats. I'm going to try and write a hook. There's so many things I've done for so many people in this industry. Like, so many. But it's not about, like, I did this, I did that. I'm just really passionate about it, you know?
Sure.
So I wouldn't say I'm running away from it.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, like, I chose to be on a reality show. I chose to put my face out there, you know. But I don't do things for credit.
Sure.
There was a time as well after the reality show where obviously people started recognizing Bash a little bit more. Like, we know him because, like, we're in the industry. Now it's like he's in Soshanguve and then people are just like, hey!
Yo, there was a time I went to Haman's crowd with Devin Gogo, like, I almost got stolen. Like, a whole bunch of honeys grabbed me, like, my Hennessy went flying up.
Whoa.
Not the
That's
Henny,
crazy.
duh.
Yeah, I know, especially in the hood, like,
Yeah.
everyone has DST.
So wasn't that crazy for you how things kind of switched up? Because normally you're just that guy who walks in, you get the job done, you speak to the managers,
And
you're
you're
there
gone.
to drink sometimes just to have a good time. Now there's like eyes on you.
I've always had it, you know. Like, everyone's always known me, from whether it's from music videos. I was in like all the music videos back in the day, to just my personality and whatever. But like, it's always been there, but never to the point, like, you know, it really got a bit, you know, much. But like I said, Diddy's my idol. You know, so I'm not one of those managers that's gonna hide in the corner. That's not what I'm about.
Out there in the video, dancing in the video.
That's what's up.
I'm actually releasing music soon.
Are you gonna release some music soon?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You're working on a mixtape, right?
Yeah.
Who's on it? Can you give us a few gems there?
Well, I'm working with Venom.
Dope.
And yeah, we've got some joints, you know.
Are
If
you-
you
are
wanna
you-
hear them, you'll see him play.
Yeah? You're rapping or compiling
No,
the
no.
joint? The
Like,
compiling.
yeah,
it's a
we-
compilation album,
Like, it's like
which
a
we need more
joint
of.
A&R, you know.
Nice one.
Can I ask? Obviously, in a space that we work in, because hip hop is very like emotional. Hip hop is also very like he said, she said.
Yeah.
Bash, you also slightly also find yourself in the middle of things all the
All the
time.
time.
All the
All the
time.
time.
Bash is always inside somewhere. Somehow his name comes up. And I guess it's the name of the game because it's hip hop. There'll always be beef.
Yeah.
And there's obviously certain stories about, like you're mentioning now, you're not speaking to Casper because of something very small. You and Nadia also parted ways. Are you guys in a better space now from when you actually left her camp? And how are you with the rest of the people in the game as holistically? Because there are a few ruffled feathers as well. Yeah.
Me and Nadia, like, when we stopped working, it was bad.
Yeah?
Because, like, we were so close.
Yeah.
But now, like, me and Nadia are cool. Like, we actually work together. Like,
Okay.
She's presenting on this show on channel
Gen Z.
Gen Z,
Yeah, I work on that show. Like, a lot of the people that come on the show is through me, and the music is through me. So yeah, we have an amazing relationship.
Nice.
Nice. How did you work it out again?
Time.
Yo, we almost got into a fight at a gig. Like,
You see?
like she came at me like, and then like
Really?
I was just like, yo, let's go sit in the bus.
Mm.
And we sat in the bus for like 2 hours. Like, we both cried. We
You
both,
need
like,
those
spoke.
things.
And like, we both also understood, like, damn, this whole thing was a misunderstanding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what we just needed. And ever since then, we've always been super close. If I see her now, we're gonna run and hug each other.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So we're very, very cool.
But a lot of the time, with the altercations you might find yourself in,
Yeah.
I've noticed, because I always ask you, like, I'm always just like, I pick up the phone, I'm like, Bash, what's going on? Because you're involved in something that's trending now. Why are you involved? And 9 times out of 10 is because Bash had said something,
Yeah.
and Bash is a very honest person.
Like that. I love that.
He will say it like it is, and if you want to take it a hard way, he'll just be
That's
like,
on
dog,
you.
it is what it is. So there's obviously also a situation that happened recently where now there's a diss track about you. And I'm asking this publicly because it was also explained publicly on my radio show.
Was it explained?
Yes, I interviewed her and I asked her what's the song about, and she laid it out on the table.
Who did the song?
So Muesli dropped 4-Ways Freestyle. If you listen to the first verse, apparently it's dedicated to our brother here, Bashiro. So when I interviewed her,
Bash.
yes. So when I interviewed her on the she mentioned her side of the story where she was feeling some type of way about how you had spoken about how females shouldn't be on female remixes any longer. And she obviously was just like, it was at the time when Basadi remix just dropped with Rouge.
It was about
and
to drop,
with Dumitladi.
Yeah.
And obviously she felt some type of way about it. She was like, no, this is who we are, this is what we're rapping. Drop the diss track about Bash. And I think a lot of people, when they heard it, because it was also trending when her album dropped, everyone thought it was directed at Boity, but it wasn't at Boity. It was actually at at management. What's your side of the story, Bash?
Look, man, that whole thing was a misunderstanding.
It's always a misunderstanding.
No, I'll tell you what happened. I actually got hit up for a remix. Someone wanted Boity on the remix.
Okay.
And it wasn't Tumitladi, because Tumitladi did want Boity on the remix.
Okay.
But I said, we don't do the all-female lineup remix.
Why?
Because I just don't like it.
remember-
But this is different. Let me explain it.
I also,
and then,
the reason why I'm asking why you don't like it is because I remember it was the same communication you had with Nadia when it came to the Baddest remix.
Yes.
And Nadia didn't make it onto the Baddest remix for AKA.
No. She was never asked to be on the Baddest remix.
Oh,
Ever,
okay.
ever.
But I remember there was some communication around she's not trying to do female remixes after that whole situation blew up on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I'll explain it.
Okay.
So, someone had hit me up for Boity to be on a female remix. And I said no. And I got so annoyed that I went on Twitter and I went on a rant. You know what I mean? And this was like on a Wednesday, right? And then someone commented and said, yeah, there's another remix dropping on Friday. And tagged everyone. Rouge, Muesli, everyone. And then Rouge hit me up. She's like, yo, I'm seeing this thing. I'm like, nah, I'm not talking about you, dog. You know, my whole thing is this. The way I see female remixes, right, is when there's a remix and then there's a separate female remix.
Sure.
That's what I mean by female remix. I don't mean
I get what you're
I don't
saying.
mean like
Female ladies on one
yeah,
song.
it's like, yeah, we're gonna do this main one and then you females, here's your little
Here's
female
the-
remix.
here's the
You
scraps of the
understand?
song, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I hate. It's like, how dare you? You know, firstly, who are you to even ask this? Like, you're nobody and you're asking for Boity to be on this female remix. I was hacked. You know, and then I explained to Scooter, I'm like, yo, my bad, and he was like, yo, the timing of your tweets, wild.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I'm like, my bad for the
Yeah.
timing, but I was not.
You know
talking
how
about
much he respects you and loves you, though, bro.
Yeah.
That's my dog,
Yeah.
man. Like, as much as
he
like,
speaks so highly of you anytime he can, bro.
look, as much as like there is this situation, I have no bad feelings to Muesli. I have no bad feelings to Spuda. It's for me, it's still a misunderstanding.
Sure.
So when you heard the song?
Oh, I heard the song way before it dropped. So like, you know, I had already digested it. And for me, like, you know, anyone that knows Boity, right, knows how peaceful she is, how loving she is, how, you know, we are givers of life, light. That is how she is. And that's what I'm about right now. So for me, like, there's never a time where, you know, I'm gonna respond like this and like that. You'll see, I don't even tweet like that anymore. Like, I don't.
Have you found the light,
not there.
Besh?
Yeah, I have.
Tell me
I'm
about
proud of you.
how you guys met with B.
I mean, I've always known her, you know. But I think so. After I was working with Nadia, like, I had a phase where it's like I just didn't know what the next move was. You know,
I feel you.
I managed a kid called Asen.
Yes,
you
I
know,
remember him. Yeah,
Vizo, and then I was with Reason.
You also went through your influencer side at that point as
I was
well.
just trying to make money. I was struggling.
I feel you.
I was struggling. I was not making money.
Yeah.
You know, it was bad. And then like,
So you manage Reason as well, which is where the Reason and Boity link comes in. It's a beautiful one, by the way. it's a beautiful one for sure. So, but continue.
So at the time, it was like I had a show in Mavtown with Reason, and I was releasing my single at the time. I was gonna release a single featuring Gemini and Tejo, right? So on the way back from Mavtown, I'm playing this beat, and Reason's like, damn, like I'm actually working on this Boity project, right now, she's rapping. It's like, can I use this beat? I'm like, yeah, you can. But at the time, I already had the meetings to start working with her, but I hadn't told him. So it was awkward.
Serendipitous.
It was awkward, and it all came together, and that was Bakai.
Nice.
Yeah, that was Bakai. So
that's so awesome.
That's
And you guys have just like clicked and become like really, really close. Like you said, you end up creating these relationships with these artists as well. And it's nice to see how you and Boity just kind of like work, because I think also you had to kind of take on the baton from Boity introducing herself as a rapper and people watching for like what's next.
Yeah.
Because once that was out and everyone's like, okay, cool, Junior helped her out with that song.
Yeah.
Sharp. Can she do it again? And that was the shaky part for Boity, because I think everybody was like, okay, we got eyes on you now, girl, And then when Bakai dropped, everyone was like, okay, we're sold. So how did you
Then the album dropped. It's like, oh, okay, girl.
We see you. So obviously coming together and going from her rapping in full English on What's That, for you to pull out the real Poch girl out of Boity.
Yeah.
What was that transition like for you,
For me, I was so prepared for that moment.
Yeah.
Like the way me and Nadia ended, like it was unfinished business.
Sure.
The last song we did together was Not Mean, So it's like when I saw Boity rapping, that's why I went for the job. I was like, I can finish my mission.
Yeah.
So it was easy. Like I said, Bakai was done before we had officially started working. Like
Was it recorded already?
Like I had the beats and we already started working
nice.
before
Okay.
I signed. You know what I mean? So like, it was. I could do it in my sleep. I can still do that stuff. Making music is like the easiest thing for me.
Sure.
Pairing people is the easiest thing for me.
You've got an ear and an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. And one thing I also really noticed as well about the December that just passed, the 2020 December. Obviously, it's a very shaky time. It's COVID, but also over and above lockdown and the restrictions, we're also in the space now where hip hop is also taking a bit of a backseat.
Yeah.
Piano's on the forefront. Piano's kind of taking the wave right now. But the one thing that stayed consistent for me that I really noticed, especially because level 1, we were still kind of able to gig and make some money. And Boity was always like the only hip hop act on piano lineups.
Sure.
If it's not Boity, it's Ricky with the Ricky effect. You know what I mean? But it's either one of them.
Sure.
How did you get that right, especially at a time when people are just not paying attention to what hip hop is doing? And I'm not saying that they've got a closed eye to it. It's just promoters
It just
are at
takes
that.
a lot bit more stress.
Yeah, like promoters are really at that point where you have to now convince them to book a hip hop act.
Yeah. So I mean, we didn't even have a song out, but she was gigging. So for me, number one, this goes back to all those people that like to say managers should stay at the spotlight, wah. When I go to the club, the promoter knows who I am. You know what I mean? When I walk in, people are like, where's Boity? Where's Boity? Where's Boity? They all know me, So it just came from me. My birthday weekend was in August. We rocked. And I just became Mr. Party. Everyone's like, where are we partying now? Where are we partying now? For real, that was where the Shilisa came into play.
Yeah.
And I started like jumping in the bus with Devin Gogo, jumping in the bus with Pori, jumping in the bus with whoever, you know what I mean? Venom. And, everywhere I go, like I become friends with the promoters, people see me supporting. I'm going to Harman's crowd and it's like, yo, this guy's supporting my gig. Like, let me book you guys. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I started like
I
getting
think
the
that's a heavy
relationships.
major key.
I started like building my relationships again with these promoters.
Nice.
And it just became a thing of like, yo, this guy's always supporting our gigs. Boity has numbers. Let's book her. And like when you book Boity, you will see women will come out and pack that venue. So it was a combination of me putting myself out there and Boity being who she is, and also Boity's performances are very impactful,
Very much so.
So
man,
that's
you
how
guys,
it was.
you guys have definitely worked on it, and you've honed it really well,
Very
and
much.
you've gotten her also out of her out of her timidness, you know, like she's very powerful and she's very strong on stage, and you can see the growth in it as well. Because I think when we all kind of had seen her come out with What's That, it was like, okay, she can do the rap thing, but is she doing the performance thing? Because it's one thing to hold a mic, it's a different thing to actually
Control a crowd.
make someone believe that you're on stage and you're doing this thing, you know. So we can definitely see the growth and how you kind of worked with her as well. But with speaking about where the hip hop culture is kind of going as well, somebody like you who is a student of the game, where do you kind of see us kind of going into, especially for like a 2021, where 2020 was very difficult? Piano's obviously taking it to the top. You're about to be doing a mixtape now with Venom, but you've got a lot of piano influences coming through with some of your songs as well. Where do you see hip hop fitting in with it?
I think firstly, this formula that I use is not going to work for everyone. Or the formula that Ricky uses is not going to work with everyone. You know, I look at like someone like Blackie, like he can make like just a trap song and it blows up. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's just people making good music. Like definitely feel that mix of piano and hip hop is really, really, really about to do a lot. A lot of people, I've been hearing a lot of people doing that stuff. I think in the next like 2 months, you're going to hear a lot
more people, né?
Yeah. And for me, the way I also see it is that clubs are really closed. You know,
even though they open, it's not the same thing anymore.
It's not the same. The life, when you want to see life, when you want to party, you're gonna have to go to Alex. You're gonna have to go to Sosha. You're gonna have to go to Davidson. You're gonna have to go to Hammond's Crowd. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's the hood. So those are the people that are going to be booking you. Those are the people that are going to be supporting you. Those are the people you have to be making music for. You know, so as long as you're making music that caters for the hood, but also it's like, you know, a lot of people you can hear they forcing it. You know what I mean?
True.
If it's
you're right. Sometimes it comes through and you're just like,
you can hear. True. Yeah, it's like we can see straight through this thing.
Yeah.
But like, if your intentions are genuine,
it shines
and
through.
you appeal to those markets, you know, and you bring value to those markets, I think you'll do well.
In terms of ghostwriting, I'm so happy that you and Reason really made this thing something that was first shunned upon, and then something that is now looked at as an avenue for MCs and writers. How do you feel about it, and just the way it started, and how people are starting to look at ghostwriting right now? Because I do feel like both you guys have a huge role to play in how we changed our view and our outlook on this skill.
I mean, for me, I've been doing
because personally, you guys were the ones honest enough to say we do this thing. If it was happening before, no one was saying it.
I mean, I have been doing it for like 4 years, but like now I do more of the executive producing role and like producing role. But it was working with someone who is so sure of themselves, someone who doesn't have to hide, someone's not afraid. It's like, you think I'm gonna come into the game and I'm just gonna write the best music possible and whatever, you know? Of course I need help. Of course, you know, it builds a team. And like, there was an interview, I can't remember. Oh, it was Sci-Hi, who's also one of my favorite guys.
True that.
You know, and Sci-Hi said, it's like, you think you're gonna go to the Grammy with your engineer and compete with Adele and her 30 people, or Beyonce and her 30 people and win a Grammy? It must be crazy. You know, Kanye has so many people working on his stuff, you know? Like, Sci-Hi writes everything. You know, Pusha writes. So it's like, you know, if Kanye is doing, if Drake has people doing it, like, who are you to, like, you know, who are you? You know, everyone needs help, you know? And I think when it started becoming accepted, you know, a lot of people started hitting me up. A lot of people started hitting Reason up, you know? So, you know, I think it's just about, you know, turning the narrative around that it's nothing to be, you know, frowned upon. It's nothing to frown upon. Yeah, if you want to be an MC, you know what I mean, then, you know, that's a different story.
But if you want to be an entertainer, musician.
You know.
So we've spoken about all the various hats that you've worn and the various fields that you've played in. Obviously, you did influencing, managing, photography. Is there anything else that you feel you haven't done that you still want to do?
I mean, now I'm like doing, like, trying to get into TV, you know?
Dope.
Like behind the scenes as well, you know, we have a platform called Soft. You know, the wooden
Yes,
store.
I remembered. I
Yep.
wanted to bring
You
that
know,
up.
that's
Yeah.
also like, you know, a lot of the acts are like R&B,
Yep.
undiscovered,
Yep.
a little bit of buzzing sometimes, you know. So like, I think like taking that to the next level and doing events.
Yep.
I'm still very new to eventing. You know, I'm still, you know, figuring
Really?
that out.
After so much time you spent behind the scenes, it's like
Yeah, but I mean, it's like
Attends, not throws.
it's like
when you call sheets, Bash be there at 9. Okay.
it's like, I mean, I can go to a venue and say, okay, cool, you know, here's my lineup. Can we do a gig? They'll, you know, give us times, and you know, that's about it, you know. But doing events is something else.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's a
having
lot of
someone
work.
that paying for security, paying for, you know, the bounces, paying for furniture, paying for
Ask
whatever.
Dimples. Have you
and
ever seen Dimples at a pop bottles?
You know what I mean?
It's like, damn,
Like-
dog, can you smile?
I could only dream of doing that stuff. That stuff stresses me out so much. Like,
And you have to pay attention to minor details.
That's
Something
the
as small
thing.
as like, is there enough toilet paper? Like those are like line items you need to pay attention to. You know.
Then
And-
the artist backstage with the times.
yeah, and like you'll spend 3 days working on this event that on the day of the event you're so tired. You know what I mean? So yeah,
That's
like
crazy.
eventing, and then yeah, obviously the music thing and everything you see Diddy doing.
You want to be in there.
Like everything you see Diddy doing. Don't
Yeah,
get it
man.
twisted.
Nice.
So you are also like a big fan, like you've mentioned, of the podcast. You watch the Drink Champs, but you also like you're an avid fan of Joe Budden, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the one. Like sometimes I actually only catch some of the Joe Budden stuff because Bash is tweeting about it. What is it about Joe that gets you so much? Is it his blunt honesty? Because maybe that's the type of guy that you are as well.
I think it's just he's coming from someone who's been in the industry. He talks about the bad deals, the good deals when he messed up and whatever. You know, his co-host Maul is Biggs' brother.
Yeah.
Biggs started, you know,
Rockefeller with Jay.
Maul's other brother is hip hop, who was hip
The
hop was
A&R for-
Jay-Z's A&R. You know what I mean? Rory worked at Sony, so like it's just the combination of everyone and what they've witnessed through. There's a lot of Jay-Z talk about. They did this, they did that. I remember when they did this. Like even with like Nori and Drinks Champs, like it's just hearing those
info.
stories. It's so much info. Like and like with Joe Biden, it's like if there is a Spotify thing that's happening, they're gonna talk about it. If they like now they're talking about like the NFTs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, which is something that every artist needs to know about, you know. And if you're sitting on your couch, where are you gonna get that information? You know what I mean? Like you need to be like as an artist manager, you need to be watching, you know, POPradio, POPcast. You need to be watching the Joe Biden show. You need to be like, if you close that off and you're failing, you have no one to blame. The information's all there.
Showcase.
This is the school. You know what I mean?
Showcase, Bash.
100% it is, man.
Only 10 minutes left. It feels like we went 10 minutes over. We've been talking a lot on this one, dog.
Yeah. But Bash, look, you've literally just like blown the top off. You've done a lot, and I think people really need to give you your flowers. We've mentioned that so many times as well on the podcast, just to say the amount of work and the effort that you've put in with the passion to grow artists, because sometimes growing artists is not easy. Like you said, like they've got egos and it's
Yeah.
difficult to kind of go through. What gives you that thing to keep going back to working with artists? Because sometimes people will just like tap out, like I can't do this
Grand, man,
anymore.
you dog.
I won't lie, like I actually wanted to tap out. I was like, I'm tired of my life being about someone else's life, you know. But then I work with someone like Boity, who's like, Bash, you should be releasing your own music. You should be doing interviews. You should be doing brand work. You should be building yourself and she's so supportive. I've never had an artist want as much for me as I want for them.
Sure. Those are the ones that always work.
Yeah. So for me, I think it was just a relationship thing, and you know, I'm also working with Venom as well.
Yeah.
Me and Venom really work well together, and then I'm also working with Slade, who's in Amapiano. So he's young.
Yeah.
So teaching him, and he's keen to learn. You know what I mean? So like, it's just for me, I've learned it's not about the names. The biggest artist tomorrow can come to me and ask me to manage them. I can't say no. If we don't get along,
Sure.
if we're not friends,
You gotta be
I
happy
can't
when you work,
with
dog.
Yeah. There's been times I was making money and I was miserable.
Hate that.
You know, like, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about energies at the end of the day. You got to make sure that you're in the right space, you're in the right time. But thank you so much. Oh, all right. So what we are going to do, we are going to jump straight into the questions. And
Still got the card. Okay.
okay, so Bash Low has got the card. He does have some questions for us. Do you have some questions for... Oh, okay. I have the questions.
Yes,
my
ma'am.
bad. Sorry, I didn't realize that they were sent
Who's gonna
to
start?
me.
He starts.
I think let Bash start because I still have to find my questions. So I'll get the timer. We need to.
Can I look at the thing?
Yes,
Yeah, you can.
have to look at it, and you have to 30 seconds it out and explain what's on the card.
Can I start?
Yeah, go.
Okay.
The time's ticking.
DJ from Pretoria, hip hop. I work with him.
Venom.
Events in Pretoria.
Homecoming.
Bloom.
Makofe Festival.
What's the end of Bloom?
Bloemfontein. Tony Fontaine.
Fontaine.
Tony Fontaine.
He works with Dr. Pepper. What it is?
Lucas Rebs.
Yes. Yo, I think it's Delez's album name.
High.
Caution to the wind.
Yeah.
Way to save us, Cozy.
Just in time. All right, so I do have a few names that I'm going to spit at you, and you need to let me know if you know who the artist is with this government name.
Wait. What's it? What?
We give you the government
give
name,
you-
then you guess.
Then-
You tell us
okay,
the name of the
You tell me the
artist name.
Okay.
Hey, always with the easy ones. Okay, so we're going to kick it off with, okay, we'll start with your homie. Mandise Khatebe.
How? Devin Gogo.
Kuza. All right.
Did we get that? Oh, that was a new one. Who said Kuza Koko? Was it you?
Me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Come
damn,
on.
that was sounding good.
Come on.
All right. Lesikhong Kaiseng.
Speedy.
Yes. Letabo Sibetso.
Foka.
Yes. Odwa Situma.
I don't know this one.
I won't lie, I only found this one out because I did a song with it.
I don't know that one.
Who's that one?
This one is D Koala.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes, I only knew because we had to do the publishing.
track.
You know what I
Nice.
mean? So that's how I got her name. But yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Bash.
Thank you. I had an
And
amazing time.
keep on watching. You're like one of our
I
avid
do.
viewers.
I was
like,
watching the Nadia one last night.
Yeah. So big ups to you for constantly supporting us and keep on pushing. I think everybody knows your work. Anybody who is in the industry understands how much effort you put in as well. And keep on growing new artists. I like the fact that you're working with somebody like a Slade where you're pulling yourself out of hip hop and trying to get into like a piano market with a DJ.
Yeah.
So it speaks to the fact that you still have the energy and the power to hone a new talent. So big ups to you for that, man.
Thank
I
you.
definitely also think that in terms of like the game, you're one of those people that we're very lucky to have, the industry as a whole. And personally, sometimes one kind of feels the fire dying down in whichever platform they're on. I'll safely say that today you've reinvigorated my fire in making sure that what we broadcast and take out there is because sometimes you're like, no one's even watching. And people don't care about information. People just want beef. You know, I've seen this NFT thing for a long time and I wanted to talk about it, but I always like, they're not even there. It doesn't matter. But you've kind of like let me know that we're not only talking to the kids.
Yeah.
That sometimes we're also talking to us. And we have to take that into consideration because we don't do that most of the time. We feel like we're not serving each other and we're serving people under us.
Yeah.
But you've really, really, really waking me up, dog. Shout outs.
Shout out.
Yeah, that's a big shout out. That's a big shout out going out to Bash Vision. And I think anybody who's watching this and kind of heard just the small stories that you've gotten tonight gives you a little insight as to the guy. But when you see him in the club, make sure you buy him a Jaeger if you want
Yeah.
Shishiliza
Don't
to
ask for
come
my
out.
number.
And don't ask for his number.
Or to
And don't
me
send him
music.
beats.
He'll find you. You don't find him.
Yes, sir.
Ça va, hein?
I mean,
Hey,
we,
guys,
we can't stay here the whole night.
The whole night, guys. We're holding it down for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. It really gives us a little bit of an oomph to know that you guys are behind those screens, commenting, watching, learning, and sometimes just downright being the spoiled kids that you are and just saying whatever that comes to your head. It doesn't matter. So long as we got you guys on the other side of these screens watching. It's Pop Radio and POPcast coming to you from the team. Will VG ever be joining us?
I mean, we're going to hit him up. We're going to call him. We'll see if he'll join us. But somebody who did join us today was Bash. What a really amazing interview.
Yeah.
And I think the amount of stories and the information he dropped today was very important for some people who just needed to hear just that little bit of, okay, let me try this. Let me research that. Let me watch. Because people also feel as though sometimes education just lies in textbooks when education is also on the internet. It's also on Google. It's also on YouTube. And that's what Bash is talking about when he says research. It's like it's all available to you. Don't be lazy. Take up the opportunities that you have in front of you and do something with it. You know what I mean?
Straight up.
So it was nice kind of chatting to him and listening to his story and listening to what he had to kind of add to the game. You know what I mean? But with that, we've added to the game for the week. We'll be back again next week with POPcast. Make sure that you join us next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m.
It's game over.
Game
Over.